90's vibe, and that's because the genre of my magazine is R&B slash hip hop. Now it looks like the majority of the class is doing R&B, like R&B or hip hop vibe, and I wanted to make mine kind of unique instead of doing what's prominent now. I wanted to go back at least like let's just say 20 back to the 90's because to me that's when the golden age. That was to me the golden age of hip hop and R&B, and that's when, for me, that's when a lot of, let's say, hip hop music was more real than what it is now. Just basically saying the pictures. So, like I said, like I say that many artists that. Oh yeah, like hip hop today wasn't what it was 10, 15 years ago, and I believe it's lost its authenticity as well as like everything just sounds all the same. So yeah, the 90's was to me when music was better, and my magazine's gonna include like let's just say interviews, like exclusive interviews with people like TLC, and even though they've probably been published in magazines already, like. You know, you may have forgot about it, so just gonna remind you. And yeah. This is like a prototype of my masthead for my magazine. Like that's just kind of. I want it to be colourful and bold because when I look at the style of like clothing, and back then it was really colourful, everything was vibrant. Yeah, it's going to be, obviously it needs to be bold, so it's going to catch your attention. Oh my. When I did my research case studies, I noticed that the majority of people that will read these type of magazines are African American or black, and at least it's in Vibe magazine, especially at least 75% of people actually African Americans read this magazine. So I think that's who the main race of people my magazine will be aimed at, and also I think it's just obviously because back in the 90's, the majority of hip hop and R&B artists were in fact black themselves. So I think that's probably why such a huge percentage of African Americans read the magazine. And it's going to be mainly aimed at people who are like born late 80's, early 90's, because I think, so that's like 20 to like, let's say 35-year-olds. And I think I want to aim it at them because they were around during that let's say time period. So they'll be more, I don't know what it is. They'll know more of the music basically. So I think my magazine will appeal to them more. And also, like around that age, you should quite have a bit of money. And because my magazine is going to be quite maybe expensive and it's going to be monthly, it's not going to be so hard for you to want to pay for it compared to like, let's say, people my age and like 2 years older. I think
Thoughts? Questions?
I really like the design of the masthead.
Huh?
I really like the design of the masthead.
Oh, thanks. It's just a prototype though, so it will be better. Oh my goodness, I feel like so.
Yeah, I really love your idea because I love the 90's myself as well, and I feel like if I would like buy the magazine, but I feel like are you taking a risk because you know when you say like your artists like people like TLC and stuff like that, but because they don't really make music anymore, what would like be in the content of it? You get what I mean? Would there just be interviews with them talking about what they're doing?
I think I'm gonna try and include, let's say, so do you know when like, let's say you honour people in a sense, because obviously Left Eye's dead, so I wouldn't like get like, let's just say, maybe like an old interview of them, as well as people like, let's say Beyonce, you know, all their people talking about how TLC made an impact on the music they're making now. So that's, yeah.
I really like it. I like that you focus on one era of hip hop. Like you said, there are quite a lot of things trying to make this different. I was going to ask the same question as yourself about content and how you'd be able to keep issuing, you know, monthly and what you'd actually have in there. I do like the fact you looked at demographics, so you're looking at African American and ages and things. But like you just said, you would buy it, so maybe it would be worthwhile thinking about expanding the age group that you would target it at, because I like 90s music and I'm not that old. So yeah, so maybe think about doing that. And not just that, you've also got to remember there's fans of these artists from all different backgrounds and ethnicities as well. So you should definitely consider that and definitely widen the market for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think certainly within the US, you can afford to target like a specific ethnic group, like African Americans, because it's a large percentage of their population. In the UK, you can't afford to do that. So, you know, the black British population is not really big enough to sustain a full magazine. I really like this idea of like a nostalgic music magazine, because actually that kind of thing exists. Like I think Word magazine, which is really quite popular, but it's always about, you know, rock music and like, you know, like 60s kind of hippie stuff. There isn't, you know, I think there is a gap in the market for something like this, but I think you're being a bit too specific. Certainly with the name, calling it 90s vibe, I think you're sort of backing yourself into a very specific time frame. Okay, and yeah, these kind of issues would come up, and you're going to kind of run out of people to talk about. Yeah, and it will get repetitive. So just having more of a general kind of nostalgic, so focusing on the 90s, but maybe, you know, it could look at the early noughties or stuff from the 80s, and then having your title reflect that. I really don't like the mouse head.
Brooke, have you done it?
No.
I'm not gonna lie,
I
neither did
liked
I,
it.
but
So, and again, you know, I'm saying that as one man, because Wazir said he really liked it, but I don't. Yeah. It's too colourful.
But it reflects what it was about. Like the 90s and the 80s, it was all about vibrant, like for example, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air times. You just see like just
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So why would it be?
It is the colours of the 90s. However, I'm thinking layout. Well, your background's going to be a bit colourful. How's it going to? It's going to clash, isn't it? I think if you're going to have a colourful issue on a 90s artist or what have you, they'll be dressed up in those colours. Can you imagine putting that on top? It might clash with background colours. Like, I think it's great. It's very 90s colours, but you've got to think about every issue can have a different front cover. How that might clash with it, and then your consumers, your target audience will get used to one cut your masthead and recognising that on the shelf. So if one issue you have to change the colour of it because of your background, do you know what I mean? You just got to think how you're going to run into these issues. I think the colours are the 90s colours, but again it's a prototype. This is all what this is about. So just play around with it.
And you know, if you look at the artists there, yes, they're colourful, but you've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colours. There aren't 5 colours in those pictures. Yeah, it's colourful, but it's, you know, it's yellow, red, and blue with the kind of white and black. Yeah, and then someone is just blue and white, isn't it? Yeah, so you can be colourful without having more than 3 colours.
I just had an idea for content. You know, like, what's the picture this Bad Boy label? Most of the 90s, they started in the 90s, so maybe you could do issues around record labels, and what artists they had then and what artists they've got now, so you can sort of bring it to today, and then you'd be able to like really sell, don't you think? That way you can put artists that are selling today, but then it's also sort of going back to the 90s as well. Just an idea for content.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Well,
I think that master puts language rubbish, like for children, like saying that children.
but, yeah. No, that.